Hello princesses! Today I'm going to be talking about the Missha Easy Filter Shadow Palettes. I have the 3 palettes in the collection because I thought it would be fun to use all of them, and I've created 3 separate looks for you guys using the palettes today. So the reason that I picked these ones up is because they look like they had such fun colours in the sense that they have like these amazing glitters in them, which I think are really fun. The rest of the colours are kind of like your standard like Kbeauty colours, so you've got the pink palette, you've got a really nice beige brown palette, which is what I'm wearing at the moment. This one is really cool. And then you've got, of course, your standard coral. So the coral one I really liked as well because it wasn't super orange, which is definitely better for me. So for these ones, the product description says, this versatile eye and cheek palette each comes with 5 blendable shades of different finishes to add mood filters to your looks. Highly pigmented with soft powdery texture that glides smoothly on skin. I really enjoy the packaging of these products. They have a really cool frosted lid and they have a magnetic closure, which I have played with so much, and it's just really fun to play with, to be honest. There are 4 eyeshadow shades in each palette and then 1 blush shade. I think you probably could use the blush shade as an eyeshadow if you really wanted, but I haven't really been that interested in doing that. I just like to use it as a blush. Each palette also comes with at least 1 glitter, which I think is really interesting. They're like they call them a prism glitter, but they're kind of like a very like packed in glitter, like actual big chunks of glitter pigment. So when you touch it, it feels really rough and you can feel the glitter pigment sort of like on your fingertips, which is really bizarre, but definitely interesting. So to start off with, I'm going to be using this light pink colour in the crease. It looks quite peachy in the pan, but it actually does look quite nice when it's on the eye. This is quite light, so if you want something that's a bit more dark, you probably want to not use this. Most of the other palettes have got a highlight colour in this corner, so it's like sparkly and light coloured basically. And this one is, I don't know, it's still pretty light, to be honest, but it's definitely not sparkly, and I wouldn't use, I don't know if anybody could use this as a highlight, maybe, but it's definitely more of a crease for me. So I'm going to focus this on the crease. I'm going to bring it up quite high because it is quite light, so it blends better, and I'm also going to bring it down onto the main eyelid bit as well, just because the glitter is quite sheer, and then in the outer half of the lower lash line. Then using the darkest colour, which is also a matte, I'm going to put this very gently in the outer half, third maybe. So I'm beginning in the outer corner and then I'm going to blend it inwards. I'm doing this before the glitter because otherwise the glitter will get everywhere. For a darker colour, I find that this one is quite nice to blend. It works pretty well. I can always go back in with that lighter colour just to help out a little bit, and I'm going to put a bit of this on the lower lid as well. And I'm going to use a different kind of highlight from my MAC palette. It's just this one, which is a cool toned shimmery white. So it's that one there, just because this is quite a chunky glitter and I didn't want to get it too close to the inner corner of my eye because I'm likely to get it in my eye, which would not be good for it. So I decided to change it up a little bit and just add this extra part in here. I did try first some of the other highlight colours in the other palettes, but they were like gold and it looked very strange, so I wiped it off and then just came back to this one. So I guess it's more like of a silver highlight. So I'm doing the inner half here and then just in the inner corner as well and blending it up into there. And then for the glitter on the eyes, I'm going to be using this one here. So first I'm going to take a flat shader brush and I'm going to give my eye sort of like a light coating of glitter. So it's going to be from the inner part here just to overlapping where the darker colour is. So this is kind of like a very light wash of glitter. It's a little bit hard to apply, but it is possible to pick up and use the brush. So this is going to be the part of the glitter that I'm blending in with everything else. It's not going to be super seamless because it is glitter, but we're going to try our hardest to make it blend nicely like that. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit with my ring finger here, and I'm going to first dot it on top of the eyelid. I'm just going to press the glitter on like this, which results in obviously a lot more glitter application. So I'm focusing this on the center part of the eyelid. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the lower lid. I'm only going to try to apply it right in that center part here. Like that, which I think is really cute. So this is how the eye makeup is looking, and what I'm going to do is do my lashes and liner and then come back and show you the cheeks also today. So then for blush, I'm going to be using this big one here obviously, and my Zoeva brush. This one is the 126 Luxe Cheek Finish, which I always use. This one I find that it is very powdery, so it's important to tap off the excess unless you want to place a huge amount on one go, which I don't. So I'm going to be doing right underneath the eye here and kind of downwards and across. It's a very cute look today. So that is the placement. Also, yes, the fringe is not quite right. It's not quite long enough, but it's too long to be in its normal position, so we do what we can. So I think that the blush is really pretty. I don't think it's anything special, and I don't think it makes my skin look that good, but it is still quite nice. I'm going to do some on the nose also. And then the last shade, I wanted to find a way to incorporate it. That one is that glitter there that we haven't used, and so I actually put it sort of like down here first to sort of centralize like a little glitter patch. But you can't really see it unless you tilt your head, so it kind of has gone up in more of a highlighty kind of way. It's a very interesting highlight. Probably not a use I would use it for again, but obviously I do want to be symmetrical. So I'm going to start right underneath the eye and then just dot it up like a really weirdly placed highlight. I think the blush actually fades a bit because I'm looking at the other cheek, which I did a while ago. Either I didn't put as much on, which I doubt, the blush is fading a bit. That's interesting. So that is the look for this palette all done and dusted. I'm using an Etude House Berry Mousse tint on my lips. This is the number 2 Fresh Berry Mousse, in case you were wondering. And for skin, I used the Mamonde All Stay Foundation. I think it's called the All Stay Foundation. Okay, so I'm going to put this little peachy colour all through the crease. And also on the lower eyelid too. Then I'm going to use the tiniest amount of the brown to darken up the outer corner. And then also a little bit in the lower lash line too. Then I'm going to use the little shimmery shade in the inner corner and on the lower lash line. And then I'm going to use the big gold shimmer with my finger and put just a little bit on the inner, the middle part of the eyelid. These glitters are super pigmented, so even when I'm trying to be very subtle with them, it's like subtlety of a ton of bricks. So I think that this palette is quite cute, but I feel like the blusher doesn't really match with the eyeshadow that well. I think that the blush is quite orange, whereas the most orange part of the eyeshadow is more coral. So I think that I wish that the blush was just a little bit more actually coral toned, and it would have been quite cohesive, and I would have quite liked it because it's coral and not the bright orange. But I do really like the eyeshadow quad. I think that the colours are all really beautiful and it's made a really nice, more subtle look today. I know with the glitter it's not really that subtle, it's like a ton of bricks, but still pretty cute. So I'm going to start with the lightest colour here, and I'm going to be putting this in the inner corner and just underneath the lower lash line as well. This is a really pretty colour in the pan, but I find that it doesn't really have that much pigment, even on my light earth skin. So I don't know if this is going to be the most helpful, but it does bring a little bit of lightness. It's just a bit disappointing because it does look so sparkly in the pan. So yeah, almost looks like a bit yellow in a way. So in comparison to the darkness of the rest of the shadows, it does work well, but it's certainly not one that I gravitate towards. Then I'm going to be using the lighter brown all through the crease. This is actually a really pigmented brown, which is really nice. There is a bit of fallout in this palette from all of the shadows, so I find that when you dip your brush in, it does sort of kick up a lot of dust and a lot of extra powder, but it is manageable, it's tolerable, no problems. As long as you know it's going to happen, then it's fine. So this is a really nice brown. I think that it would work really well for like day-to-day wear as well. So you don't have to, this is a bit more of a darker look than I would normally do because I wanted to make it a bit more varied, especially because I'm stuck indoors. So this is more like a going out sort of look, I would say. Even though this is probably like someone's day-to-day. Also going to bring this down onto the lower lash line. And we're going to come back to this brown to blend out a little bit later. Now I'm going to go in with the darker brown, still with the blending brush, and I'm going to put it more to like the outer half of the eye. So I'm going a little bit further than I normally would, and I'm bringing it up into the crease too. So I'm not just darkening up this little corner like I normally would do. So I'm using a bit more, but I'm just taking it very gently and very slowly. And I'm using the blending brush rather than starting out with a flat shader brush because I want to be able to be in control of how much I'm putting on the eyelid. And when I use a flat brush, I tend to sort of like pack on the color more, and that's not really what I want to do here. Just because I don't want to go too far with the darkness. You can always come in and put more in as well, which I think is, you know, my best policy. So even that, like very light hand. It's a nice dark brown. It's a really beautiful tone as well, so it's like a very nice sort of, I don't know, I would call that more like a neutral brown, I guess. And I'm also going to put just a little bit on the outer lower lash line too. I'm just unable to do the lower lash line in frame. I have to sort of duck down just to get my eye on the right level so I don't poke myself in the eye. So then I'm going to use a finger to pick up this shimmery gold, and I'm going to put this directly in the center. And then to the left a little bit, so to the inner corner a little bit more. So I'm going to overlap, and I'm just going to apply a big chunk here, and then I'm going to use that flat shader brush to blend it out a little bit more. The glitters are super beautiful in this palette, but, it's a big but, they are really intense. So if you're looking for something that's really blended, really subtle, the glitters are not for you, unfortunately. But I do think that they are so pretty. I think that they just look amazing. So just giving a little bit of a blend, still keeping it really central, definitely helps out a lot to make it look a little less stark. So then with the gold on, I'm just going to darken up the corner again with the dark shadow, now that I know how it's looking, what sort of look it's doing at the moment. That made no sense. But you know, like when it's when the look is a little bit more finished and polished, it's a little bit easier to see how much more you need to put on, how much further you need to go. And then I'm just going to use a little bit more of the lighter brown just to smooth out the line around the outside there. So then I'm going to do my lashes and mascara, and then I will show you what it looks like afterwards. So then we're going to use the blush, which is kind of like a muted peach kind of brown. You can see it on this cheek already, and it's really natural. I do have more of a contour on today than I normally would, and yes, my fringe is super long. So I'm just going to place a little bit of that on top of where that contour is. And there we go. Super pretty. It's quite like more grown up, going out sort of thing than I normally would do. Okay, I'm going to do something about this. It's too much. So it looks really nice. I wouldn't normally do this much eyeshadow, but I thought something different, it would be fun. So this is the look using the Salted Nude palette. So I'm actually quite a big fan of these shadow palettes. I think that they're fairly versatile, and it's really great if you are like making looks on the go. I think my personal favorite probably is Salted Nude, just because I find it the most versatile. I'm not the biggest fan of the blusher, that's what I'm wearing at the moment. I'm not really a big like brown toned blush sort of gal, but I feel like it's very neutral. So like if you were doing different eye looks, or if you wanted to incorporate different colors, that's probably better than the other two are, the pink and the peach. I also find that this one is easier to do like a day to night sort of thing. So I'm wearing more of a nighttime look at the moment with the darker shadow and extra eyelashes and ridiculous amounts of fringe right now. Apologize, you can't really see much of my face, but we're growing it out to do fun things. But you can make a really nice lighter eyeshadow look just by using either the 2 shades over here or maybe the lighter transition with the glitter, or sometimes I just use the glitter all over the lid because it's such a fun color to use. So this one I think has the most versatility, and if you want to be bland and boring like me, this one is probably your best bet because it could go with a lot of other palettes like that glitter. It's not too goldy, it's got some pink tones in it as well. So it's not just a gold or just a pink, which the other two are. So this one gets my pick for versatility for sure. Obviously my other favourite is the Minimal Rose because I adore pinks. This one I did like a more youthful look with, so it was like bright pinks with like just the like placement of the glitter and stuff was a bit more cutesy, and I really enjoyed this one. However, I do find it limiting because it does have 2 of those glitters. One of them they call a glitter prism, and then the other one they call it a glitter glass. So I think it's this one down here that's the glitter glass. This one has more chunks of glitter, which is probably why they're calling it the glass rather than the prism. But I really like this one. It doesn't have that much color to it. It's a bit more sort of sheer, which is nice, especially if you wanted to do like a lighter look. And then this one, it's almost got like purple tones to it, which I actually really like as well. So overall, I love the glitters in this one, but I find that the pinks are a bit underwhelming. The pink blush, that was nice. It was just a standard blush though, so nothing incredibly special. But if you're a big pink fan, then that one is super gorgeous. And then the Coral for Race. This one was probably my least favorite, only because I like the other ones more. It's quite light, so if you have deeper skin, it might not look that great on you, but I'm not, you know, like I'm not that knowledgeable about how the shades work on a deeper skin tone because of course I don't have it myself. But I really like this one with the this shimmery color. I'm trying to remember, I don't think they have names, but yeah, it just says shimmer. It's got like a little chart on the back. The gold shimmer I think is really pretty. It's quite yellowy gold, so it does match in really well with the glitter here. And this one is also a really yellowy gold glitter. So it did work well with these orange shades, but it's not as versatile as the Salted Nude, which is a bit more of a nude glitter, if you could have a nude glitter, I guess. But I definitely liked it. I just like the other ones more. In terms of the formula, I found them all equally easy to use. I would definitely recommend using your finger to pick up any of those glittery shadows, so the glitter prisms or the glitter glass. And then if you want to make it a little bit more sheer, blend it out with your brush afterwards, because I find that they do flake away a lot if you're going to use a brush. There was a bit of fallout from the other shadows as well. Not too much, but enough that I would want to tap the brush off before applying it to my eye anyway. Whereas I find that with a lot of Kbeauty shades, because they're not super pigmented, I don't normally have that problem, which is really interesting. I think that the problem was more prominent in the Salted Nude palette because that one had deeper shades, but that's just my personal experience with them. Otherwise, I found them super easy to use. Like, I'm not good at eyeshadow by any means, and I still managed to create 3 fairly cohesive looks. So all of them are definitely winners for me. At the moment, I'm deciding whether I'm going to keep them in my collection or if I'm going to trade in and get some of those Styleander quads that have all of the glitters in them, because especially for some of them like Minimal Rose, I love those glitters. But the rest of the eyeshadows, I've got a lot of pink eyeshadows. I've got them in other collections. And same with Salted Nude. I think Salted Nude is pretty good to keep for a travel palette though, because it's definitely versatile. So that's a definite maybe. But I do really, really like them, and it's going to be a hard decision as to whether I keep them all, keep some of them, or let them all go entirely. I have not decided yet, so that's an interesting one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!